Hello, my name is Ji Lee, and I'm here today to share a little bit about my creative process. Thank the One Club for the opportunity and to my former boss and mentor, Bob Isherwood. I come from design and advertising background, and I worked at companies like Google and Facebook for the past 15 years. My main focus in creative process has been developing my own personal projects. For the past 20 plus years, I've been having a parallel path in my career where I focus a lot of my time and energy creating, thinking, and developing personal projects. Some of these projects range from street art project where I place 30,000 stickers in the shape of speech bubbles on top of street ads in New York City, or developing typography related word as image anagrams and logos and videos, or working with my parents who are now 80 years old for them to express their thoughts and creativity with their grandchildren through Instagram and TikTok. Every time I work on my personal project, I feel instant joy and I feel productive. And eventually, many of these projects ended up opening many of amazing opportunities and new doors, meeting new people, and leading to amazing jobs. I've made a small mission in my life to share my story and the amazing benefit of doing personal projects. Some of my friends and people who have seen me present the story about my personal projects have asked me, okay, how do you find time to create these personal projects? Because I'm so busy with my job and my family. And the way I think about how I make my time is that I'm always having fun when I'm working my personal projects. So when there's fun involved, I can always make time for it. It's like going out with friends for dinner, or watching a great movie or Netflix series over a glass of wine. You're always gonna be able to make time for those things, and it's the same way with my personal projects. It's a bit hard sometimes to get started, but once I sit down and start working on my personal project, it just brings me immediate joy and a feeling of well-being. And it has been especially helpful for me during difficult times when things are not going well at work, or when I'm feeling anxious, or just in my personal life, things are not going as well. I really try to focus my energy in thinking about what are the things that I've been thinking about that I want to turn into projects. And I think there is a distinction between hobbies and interests to personal projects. They're all important activities and they bring joy and makes you happy. But I think with personal projects, for me, it's a little bit more purposeful. There's a specific reason why I create these personal projects. There is usually a name that I put behind these personal projects, and there is a beginning, in the middle, and end. Hobby is something that I think many people develop and continue to enjoy throughout their life. But there's something nice about having almost like a project at work that there is sometimes a brief, which is self-created, and I work on this project for a number of weeks or months or sometimes years, and I finish it and launch it and share it with the world. And so the way I approach this personal project is very much like the work that I do in my workplace. I try to think about a problem that I want to solve. I try to create briefs against this problem, and I try to creatively solve this problem. So, as an example, with my parents, they were two old retired couple in Brazil. My sister was also living in Brazil, decided to immigrate back to Korea. And two nephews of mine, my parents' grandchildren, ended up moving back to Korea with them. This was a big blow, especially for my father, who spent a lot of time with his two grandkids, picking them up in the school and spending the afternoon. And he felt very empty and lonely after their departure. He also had a severe health problem with shingles, and he was in pain. So when I heard about his condition, I got naturally very worried. And I wanted to encourage him to do something that was productive and creative, because he was spending his whole day watching television. I remember he had a talent for drawing, although he never really took his talent further. And so for a month, we tried to encourage him to draw and post on Instagram. He didn't know why he had to do it. He didn't see any purpose behind it. He got annoyed that he was being constantly asked to do this. And then when my son was born 5 years ago, my parents came to visit him. And over a dinner table, he asked the question, I wonder what Astro would become when he grows up. Then I asked him why, and he said, well, because I won't be around anymore, which made me very sad that he would not see Astro as a grown-up boy, and that Astro may not remember his grandpa very well. So that was a heart-wrenching moment for me to think about, and in my mind, I created a brief. Okay, how can I do to create this connection between the two? And all of a sudden, I came up with an idea that, what if he could draw, but not just any drawing, but drawing for his grandkids, the two of his grandkids in Korea, and for Astro in New York. And he liked the idea, and he agreed that he would want to now create this new project on Instagram. So this was a pivotal moment that I was able to think about something purposeful for my father, who wasn't really encouraged by just an idea of drawing or creating a new hobby, but the idea of single-minded purpose to connect better with his grandkids. With this, he started to draw every day, and now he has over 400,000 followers on Instagram. And recently, we also took up on the idea of my mom and my dad dancing on TikTok because they could not go to the gym anymore due to the pandemic. And because of that, now they have over 2.2 million followers on TikTok, which is incredible. So these are, for me, very meaningful projects, personal projects that not only brings joy, but in this case, really changed the lives of my aging parents. They're active. I believe this project will add a number of years to their lives. We are connected through this project in daily basis. My sister, my nephews, my parents were all involved in this project. I have developed a strategy which is constantly working on something that is important to me. And I have 3 buckets, short-term, mid-term, and long-term. A project like drawing for my grandchildren with my parents is a long-term project which will last many, many years in the future. But I have a small short-term project, which usually lasts 30 minutes. So it's all based on intentional thinking. I walk around or spend my day with a thought of, okay, what can I see, and what can I do in my surrounding, and turn that into a small Instagram post. So a few days ago, I was in the a playground with my daughter, and I saw that the sled in the playground looked like a face of a lion with a big tongue sticking out. So I took a photo, and then I just did a quick photo montage in Photoshop with the half of the body of a lion and the sled, the slider, and I just posted that on Instagram. So it's not a life-changing or award-winning or tremendously creative or important project to me, but it was, for me, fun to take a photo and put that together. In that half an hour, I was active, I was having fun, and many of my projects are filled with those small moments. So I'm constantly walking around, looking at my surrounding with curious eyes, trying to create these briefs in my mind to turn Legos that are all over in my house to make that into something a little bit different. Or when I read news headlines about politics and sports and celebrities, I try to turn that into a brief and trying to come up with a clever visual for that. And I've done many things like that. When there's a tragic death of an athlete like Kobe or Maradona, or if there is a crisis in Ukraine and Russia, I try to turn those things into small briefs and creating something. And then there are medium term projects, which probably last a few months to a few years. And these are things that I develop with partners and friends. Right now, I'm in the midst of launching a watch. It's called the Breathe Watch, that helps you breathe slowly and keep your mind calmer. And this is something I thought about 4 years ago. I've been developing slowly with a work partner who knows this will succeed in the crowdfunding, but nonetheless, it has been extremely rewarding and joyful process. So my approach is never to work on one specific big project like writing a novel or developing an app, because many times these projects gets paused, or you lose the momentum, it needs funding, or you get lazy, and it's very hard to come back to those projects. But instead, I try to create multiple projects, short-term, mid-term, and long-term, and constantly working on these projects, so that if something gets paused, I have other things to work on. So I'm constantly active, and my brain is working. And in the end, all the things that I have learned through doing personal projects, which involves fresh thinking, looking at the world with a curious mind, the ability and the skill set that I've learned doing these projects, because at workplace you are responsible in doing one aspect of the work. If you're a writer, you're writing. If you're art director, you're art directing. You are creative director, you're creative directing. It's rare to do many of the roles because our workforce is specialized, but due to the lack of research in personal projects, I am forced to work on many things at the same time and wear as many different hats as needed. So that throughout this process, I ended up learning tons of new skill sets, which then I bring back to the workforce, to my client-related work, which has been tremendously helpful for me. So there is I see that as a symbiotic relationship between personal and professional, and amazing. The benefits have been plenty, and I'm here to share a little bit of this story in my past, and I hope this was a little bit helpful, and I hope you also see the benefit of doing these personal projects. So thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it.